Finding clarity in a world of clouds. This is about talking about the difference between a distinction. It's talking about the distinction between a double standard and contradiction. Definition. A double standard is a rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different groups or people. People or groups. Definition, contradiction. Now, there are three different definitions for this. There's a combination of statements, ideas, or features of a situation that are opposed to one another. The second one is a person, thing, or situation which inconsistent elements are present. And the third one is a statement of a position opposed to one already made. There is a difference between a contradiction and a double standard. A double standard shows flaws in logic, irrationality, hate, hypocrisy, criminal attitude of thinking oneself above the law or a person. A terroristic mentality. A double standard is psychological warfare to separate us as a society. As Patrick J. Candy said, terrorism is a psychological warfare. Terrorists try to manipulate us and change our behavior by creating fear, uncertainty, and division in society. A contradiction, however, shows intelligence, thoroughness, rationality, law-abiding. To be thorough is to be a good teacher. Any parent or teacher that ever said, because I'm an adult, or because I said so, is not being thorough and therefore a poor teacher. A good teacher says, because you have much to learn, or because you are annoying other people. It could be anything, really. But to explain is to be a good teacher. It is not a good teacher to dominate, but to teach thoroughly and show competence. If Patrick J. Candy is correct, and I believe he is, to fight terrorism is not with a gun, but with definitions being thorough, clarity and laws for parents and stricter schools, and a better judicial system, behavioral laws. Example, Nat Turner. Born on October 2nd, 1800, to November 11th, 1831. Was an African-American slave who led a 2-day rebellion of slaves and free blacks in Southampton County, Virginia. Beginning August 21st, 1831, the rebellion caused the death of approximately 60 white men, women, and children. Why did Nat Turner do this? Because of lack of care, thoroughness, and a weak judicial system. Not caring about the treatment towards blacks. Because terrorism creates terrorism. So we must draw lines. And no one should, under any circumstances, be able to cross them. Nat Turner committed terrorism, but is not a terrorist. That's the contradiction. He was a victim of terrorism. That's the distinction. He was optionless legally. Therefore, the nation is to blame, not him, because he had no alternative. And terrorism creates terrorism. His mentality was forged to think they deserve to die. And who are you to say different? You did not undergo his injustice, his radical injustice. Now, I'm not saying violence is the way, but Nat Turner deserved better, just like all the blacks did. But white people were at the same time conditioned since birth, raised to hate blacks or feel superior to them. So this boils down to making laws for parents on how to raise children. And as long as those laws are met, it is not the government or parents' fault. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, said, "The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excess and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which they are cited to justify it. Without laws protecting children, we allow breaches, gray areas, abuse, unknowns. Ask yourself, why did this child do this? His parents, media, or naturally? It is important to know distinctions in reality and to understand fundamental humanity, which is emotional, economical, social, sexual, psychological, behavioral parts of life. So we can end terrorism and make life clear. It boils down to calling a spade a spade. Call it what it is. Terrorism creates terrorism, so Nat Turner was a victim, and despite his actions, deserved legal protection. The whites were terrorists, but were raised to be terrorists, so they deserved judicial punishment, and the nation should have been forced to change the laws for an action that was obviously created by weak laws upon an unrestricted race. Ulysses, modified. Also got some of this from Google when it came to Nat Turner. Born on October 2nd, 1800.